Well, hello everyone. It is Sunday, April the 17th, year 2022, so happy Easter to you, no matter what your beliefs are. It's always good to be happy. Just be happy. Okay, I'm Masky Finance. I'm doing a reaction video to a video that's it's on Dion Talks channel. I will put a link below in the description, okay? I encourage you to watch that video because I'm not going to rehash everything they said, but it was three individuals. They were Dion from Dion Talks, Lumberjack Landlord, and Michael Zuber of One Rental at a Time. Okay, so first of all, Masky is not a financial advisor. I'm not an attorney. I'm not a CPM, nothing like that. I am Masky. All right, so I want to say this as a reaction to their video. It was a great video. All three of those gentlemen pursued financial independence in different ways, different paths, different journeys, different parts of the country. Okay, they're at different stages of being financially independent at the moment. Okay, Masky in turn pursued it differently because just like all of you, if you pursue financial independence, your journey is different than mine. Your path is different than mine. Okay, Millennial Mike is famous to my mind for saying things that he copy and paste everything that I do, and he does the same thing. Perhaps he does, but he's over 3,000 miles away from me, I think. And he's taken his own path in life. He's a different generation than I am. It's a different journey. All of you have different journeys, okay? So what Masky did, and I'll be brief here hopefully because it always gets long. In a nutshell, Masky was lower blue collar, okay? He was enlisted in the Navy. He found mutual funds when he was about 21, 22 years old. All right, he didn't have very much money. So, and when I say he, I'm talking about me. I did not have very much money. I put some money in while I was in the Navy. When I left active duty at 29 years of age, I basically stopped putting money in. And I never put much in. I had a couple $1,000s in there. Okay. In 1999, I found the Motley Fool. See that t-shirt? That's from Fool Fest. I am a very, very small-time contractor for the Motley Fool, and it wouldn't surprise me if they fired me any day now. So anyway, I digress. But in 1999, I found the Motley Fool, and I sold my mutual funds and transferred them over to online brokerage accounts and bought individual stocks. Okay. By this time, I was a police officer in a small city of about 22-ish thousand people. Terrible crime, like all cities in this country. And I had a goal of sticking out 20 years to get a pension. All right. Early in my career, I started buying back 4 years worth of military time, 1 month at a time, because I always said it's 48 months. Each month, that money would come out because it was a percentage of my income, whatever that was, I forget. And it was always tight. Money was tight. But I stuck it out all 48 months. So I bought back 4 years of military time. What that did, I was in Virginia under the Virginia retirement system. What that did was it tacked 4 years onto my years of working towards retirement. Okay, it didn't count to get my initial 20, but as long as I got 20 in, my pension would be good for 20, would count as like a 24-year pension. In Virginia, they call full pension 25 years if you're a police officer, okay? And I think it might have changed since I retired. They're tweaking it because budgets are tight, okay? So my plan all those 20 years was to stick it out to get my retirement. At the same time, I was married and raising 2 young boys. Our lives revolved around the boys. In 1999, also, my mom died. She had Lou Gehrig's disease. She was 55 years old. I'm 54 years old, okay? When she died, it changed my paradigm in life, I think. I started looking at things differently. I initially was thinking about getting a master's degree. I had a bachelor's degree. I was going to get a master's degree in public administration with a goal of perhaps becoming a police chief somewhere. I scratched that. I was testing to get promoted. I got promoted, and then I talked to the chief, and I declined it. I did not want to move up in ranks. I had other reasons for that, okay? So, but going along, our lives revolved around our children. My kids came first, not my job. My kids came first. And we got them involved. We raised them morally, ethically, encouraged them to do their best in all they could do, physically, athletically, academically, musically, theatrically, everything. And I attended so many different events. I've been at so many different baseball games, wrestling meets, soccer games, swim meets, swim lessons, piano lessons, theater. Theater was cool. I was one of the only parents that would stay for rehearsal, so I was asked to be an extra in the first play. And Masky was a shy kid growing up. He never even thought about something like the theater. And as an adult then, I got to be on stage in a community theater. It was pretty cool. I was an orc. And then orc and was it from a Hobbit? I was two characters. I forget the other one. Orc and an elf. Maybe an elf. So anyway, it was fun. So I enjoyed life along the way. My job was just a hindrance. It's like, oh man, I'm working again. But along the way, I got involved with promoting literacy. And I was involved with handing 35,000 free books out to kids in 3 different states. I went into prisons, jails, juvenile detention centers. I would talk to inmates about trying to encourage them to read to help themselves so when they got out, they could be better educated and would hopefully have a good life. All along that time, I was reading The Motley Fool. Every single day, I was reading The Motley Fool. I learned how to invest in stocks. In 2005, I subscribed to Stock Advisor. And I slowly, over the next couple of years, sold off stocks I had and went 100% in the full way of investing. And from 2005 up to about 2020, I had an annualized return of somewhere around 18%. I think it's higher than that now because in 2019, 2020, I was getting like 100% returns each year. So I know it's higher than that, but I've never sat down and calculated it. And I've sold all my stocks. And I don't have all my records. And I'm not going to dig through stuff and calculate my return because it's past tense. I don't care about the past that much besides telling stories. All right. So, but then I found real estate. I found real estate actually in 2016. I started looking. Bought my first rental house in 2017, January of 2017. Bought my second rental house in December of 2017. All right. So my first year, from January through December, I bought 2 single-family homes. And it was hard. With that first one, I almost quit. I almost said, I want to sell this house. I want to get out from doing this because it was too stressful. It was just too, I was self-managing. I had a bad first tenant. I didn't know what I was doing. I just did it. That's me. I just jump into things and I sink or swim. And then if I do swim, then I figure things out as time goes on. So that's what I did. I started sinking, but I learned how to swim. And survived that first tenant, got a second tenant, got a second house, then bought a triplex. Bought a triplex shortly after I retired from police work. I had my 20 years in. I had my pension, $2,773 in today. 4 years ago, it was less. I got some little cost of living raises in there. And that's what I take home, okay? It's about $35,000, roughly, is my gross annual pension, all right? Still got to pay tax on it, though. So, but then I started buying real estate. And over the next 48 months, I bought a total of 25 rental units. And I made the decisions. This is where I differ from the other 3 gentlemen, Dion, Matt, and Michael Zuber. Okay. I decided, I was working part-time in a YMCA. I was working full-time for a little bit of time and backed it on 4 days, 3 days, 2 days, and was working part-time. But I decided after a lot of thought and discussion and talking to bankers and such that I wanted to move. I was tired of where I was living at. I was not from there. My boys had raised there. That's basically their hometown, but it's not my hometown. I had a big yard, which was a big hill. It's an acre and a third. I got tired of cutting the grass and everything. And I just wanted to move south. So I had been exploring the South, different states, Savannah, Charleston, Pensacola, Jacksonville, and then down to South Florida. And in April of 2020, I finally got fed up with myself because I was like, wait a second. I've now been retired for 2 years. I retired in April of 2018. It's April of 2020. And I sat down one day and wrote down a 2-year plan. And I said, I want to be financially independent living in Florida in 2 years. It was April of 2020. I wrote it down. I wrote down what I had, how many rentals I had. I wrote down what I thought I needed to live on based on the price of houses down here, because houses here are more expensive than where I was living at. All right. So I came up with that 2-year plan because I didn't know how to get to the end though. So it took me a couple of days and I came upon the conclusion of what I wanted to do. I was going to try to do a cashback refinance on my triplex and my very first single family home. And with that cashback refinance, I would then buy 9 properties, all right, while still having the triplex and the single family homes. So anyway, I did that. It was a struggle too because I was using a local credit union and we were 2 days from closing. 2 days, maybe 1 day, 2 days. I think it was 2 days though, from closing on this cash. And I was like, man, I'm getting this money. I'm going to buy 9 houses. And they called me up and said, Masky, you're disqualified. We can't give you this mortgage. And I was like, what? Why am I disqualified? What is, I didn't get it. And they explained to me why, and I fought it because I disagreed. But then they said, tell you what, our commercial guy will call you. And he called me, that was Peyton. Peyton called me, and real nice guy, and he told me he would give me a commercial loan, the exact same interest rate, 3.875. Downside, instead of being a 30-year fixed on the refinance, it'd be 2 of them, 2 different properties, two loans. Instead of being 30-year fixed, it would be 5-year adjustable rate mortgage. And I was like, oh, I don't like adjustable rate mortgages. But then I was thinking, okay, 3.875, it's not too bad. And this was in 2020. And I was thinking, that's not too bad. In fact, it's pretty good. But I had a plan then. I was renovating my triplex at that time, or it was completed renovating. But I was like, I want to sell that triplex. I want to sell it before that 5 years is up. I didn't know exactly when I would sell it, but I want to sell it before that 5 years is up. So to make a long story short, I got the cashback refinance. I bought 9 houses along the way while I was waiting because it was slow. I bought 2 more houses off the MLS. So I bought 11 houses. And when I ran the numbers, I was like, I can afford to move to Florida. So I talked to my banker, Jerry Padilla. Look at my interview playlist. He's on there. Contact Jerry if you need a loan. Jerry's a good guy. Jerry ran the numbers for me and told me he could do this. He said, my rough plan was to sell my house in Virginia, and I had to renovate to sell it. Sell the triplex, take the proceeds from both, and maybe take some stock money if I had any left by then. I think I did. And put it on a house here in Florida and perhaps get a small mortgage of maybe $100,000. Okay? And Jerry's like, don't do that. Jerry's a real estate investor also. Jerry said, don't do that. He said, do this. He said, I can get you qualified for a mortgage on a house in Florida. And remember, they're more expensive than they are in Virginia. Your wife can stay in Virginia working because she doesn't have a job down in Florida yet. Neither one of us plan to work down here. So he said, she'll keep working, but I'm gonna qualify just you. It's gonna be in your name with all of your rentals, not counting her rentals. And I'll get you qualified. That way you can buy it and get down there. And if you're still renovating your house in Virginia, finish it up. And then you sell that house and your wife comes down here to Florida. And then you take that money and you invest it. And if you do sell the triplex, you take that money and you invest it. Don't put it in your personal house, invest it. So we started the process of looking for a house. And this was in January of 2021. Okay. So we started looking at the market was heating up. It was on fire. It was heating up. And my plan had been to find a house, I think somewhere around the $450,000 range. Okay. What it turned out to be is I found a house in the $550,000 range, and Jerry said he could get me qualified, and I was going to get a VA loan. A VA loan is 0% down. But then again, leading up to closing, it was getting pretty close to closing. Jerry called me up and said I couldn't get a VA loan. It was just different reasons. I couldn't get a VA loan, I was like, once again, my balloon got deflated. And I was like, well, what do I do? And he said, don't worry, I'm going to get you qualified under a conventional loan. He's a fast talker, and I think I had something like I had to put 5% down. Whoa, 5%? 5% of 550,000 is a big number. And he's like, you got enough money? And I was like, I don't know if I do. let me do some adding. And I talked to the missus. I was like, it's going to take like a big chunk of money. And closing costs on a $555,000 house, it's up there. And my down payment might have been 3.5%, actually. I'd have to look at the paperwork, which another time. So anyway, I decided to go for it. And then as I started counting down to getting that mortgage, he called me up and said, you got a loan on some windows you need to pay off. And I had bought new windows in my triplex, and I had a 0% term for 25 months. And I was like, why do I got to pay that off? It's 0% interest. And he's like, you have to, because that'll put you over, you won't qualify. I was like, ooh, but that'll take more cash. So I was like, I don't forget what the bill was then, $8,000 or whatever. I paid that off. And we ended up getting the mortgage. But when I drove down here, I drove down in my car. My buddy drove a moving truck down with some of our stuff. And when I drove down, it was still not quite 100% positive I was going to close on this house. But then it worked out. I closed on this house. I'm sorry this is getting long. I'm about ready to get into the final chapter. So when I moved here then, it was tight. Because it's a big mortgage. It's $3,000. All right. But then my wife was up in Virginia. And we had to renovate our house up there. Because it was an old house built in 1955. It needed to be renovated. So I was trying to coordinate the renovation down here while she was coordinating it up there with working. And we basically flipped the house after 23 years of living in there. We flipped it to put it on the market. And when it went on the market, there were some issues and this and that. But it finally closed in September. And I flew up there and signed the paperwork. And then we drove down here. Now both of us are down here as of mid-September. All right, so money's still tight. I am very lean, financially independent. Very lean, all right? I met up with Dion the other day and we had lunch. I was looking through my house prior to going there because we went to Panera Bread. And I was looking for, I know somewhere I have a Panera Bread gift card for like $15. And I was like, I'm going to find that Panera Bread gift card so I can pay for my lunch. But I couldn't find it. It's somewhere in here, but I couldn't find it. So I went there, and Dion was gracious enough. He offered to pay for lunch for me. So I accepted. I don't like people buying me lunch, but it's like, I needed it, so I accepted. So that's how lean things are right now. But I am lean living in a nice house with a nice swimming pool on the water with a kayak. I have seen manatees, I have seen dolphins, I have seen turtles, I have seen alligators, I have seen fish. I can go walk on the beach, etc., etc., etc. I can live cheap. But with that being said, Masky did sell his house and basically took the majority of that money and invested it in primarily in mineral rights acreage, I think. Not 100% in mineral rights acreage, but a lot in mineral rights acreage. And I started buying in September. September through about January or February. I was still buying every 2 weeks or a month. I was buying. And it takes about 180 days to start getting returns in. So I just the other week got in my first return from that first position from September. And it's about a 13% annualized return. But it wasn't a big dollar amount. So it's kind of like having another rental house, kind of. And then next month I should get one or two more positions should start giving me a return. So maybe I'll get a little looser here. All right. And then I have an oil drilling adventure. And I did end up selling my triplex. I sold that in late December of 2021 to my tenant Robbie. There's an interview with Robbie on my playlist. So you can, Robbie's young. He was like 28 years old when he bought my triplex. He's house hacking. I cut him a good deal because I could have sold that building for more. Cut him a good deal because I like the guy. Get him in there. He's young. He can house hack, live for free, etc., etc., etc. So then I took that money and basically put it all into oil drilling investments. And that oil drilling investment is just starting. It's been paying me royalties since last June, I think, May, somewhere. Not a lot, just a little bit. It's increased throughout 2021, then it kind of dipped off a little bit. Now it's starting to go back up just a bit. But it should start taking a bigger jump, perhaps a little bit bigger this month, but a bigger one next month. And by June, get up there much better because they're drilling new wells and stuff. So it should change my life, kind of. All right, because it's lean right now, and it won't make me wealthy, but it won't be as lean anymore. All right. Then at the same time, the missus had a 401k, and there's something called the rule of 55 with a 401k. Rule of 55. Most people don't know about it. My CPA didn't know about this. All right, but you can do it. If you're 55, once you become 55 years of age, if you have a 401k and you have left employment, you could have been fired, you could quit, you could resign, you could retire, you leave employment. Once you turn 55, you can then withdraw that money with penalty free. Because normally if you withdraw the money prior to 59 and a half, you get a 10% penalty, but you would not get that 10% penalty. You still got to pay tax on it. Okay. So we decided once she retired, once she turned 55, she'd be here in Florida. And then we started, basically this calendar year, started taking some withdrawals from it. And I have since bought 3 more properties. And 2 of them I pay cash for, and I'm doing the BRRRR strategy on them. So I'm looking to replenish my coffers once I refinance. The first one, I basically have a hard money loan. It's a non-cum lender. And it's kind of like a hard money loan. It's a bridge loan. I'm paying interest only on it right now. But I'm chomping at the bit to get that one ready because it's been dragging on. It's just taking a while. But it's getting there. It's getting there. And once it gets done, then I can refinance that. And unfortunately, interest rates will be higher, but I should still positively cash flow on it quite well. And that's where Masky is sitting. That's Masky's journey to financial independence. Masky did it differently because Masky wanted to improve his quality of life. He wanted to move to a new market, and he wanted to just upgrade his quality of life, even when he knew it was a lean financial independence. Because I've now been down here for 1 year, 13 months, basically. I've been down here for 13 months. So it's been lean for 13 months. But the plan, the wheels are turning. The plan is progressing, and it should get to a more normal financial independence here in the next 1, 2, 3, 4 months or so. Okay, so we shall see. So that's kind of Masky's reaction video to Dion, Lumberjack, and Michael Zuber. 2 out of the 3 have been on my YouTube channel. Dion has been on my channel. I hope to get him back again. Michael Zuber's been on my channel. Both Dion's talk and Zuber's talk are in my playlist. I've reached out to Lumberjack, but he hasn't replied to me. So if you know Lumberjack, ask him if he'll be on Masky's channel. It'd be nice to hear his story on here. He's a 9th grade high school dropout, and he now has something like 200 rental units. All right, so it'd be cool to hear his story. All right, so this one's got long, so I apologize for that. Thanks for watching. Be sure to comment below if you like this video, and Masky is signing out.